Today, we're going to talk about something wild. We're going to explore that moment when the internet as we know it just broke. And we're going to uncover how it wasn't some random technical glitch, but actually the result of a massive design decision that pretty much all of us took part in without even realizing it.
Just think back to that day for a second. You probably remember exactly where you were. Maybe you were in the middle of a meeting and Slack just froze. Or you were trying to buy something online and the page just went completely blank. For a couple of hours, it honestly felt like the internet itself had just packed up and gone home.
But here's the thing, it wasn't just you. It was a total digital ghost town. I mean, essential work tools like Slack and Canva, e-commerce giants like Shopify, massive gaming communities on Discord, even League of Legends, poof! They all just vanished, all at the exact same time. The scale was just staggering.
And that's just the websites we can count. 3.7 million of them became completely unreachable in an instant. That number doesn't even begin to cover the millions upon millions of people who lost access to services they depend on every single day. This was a massive, system-wide failure.
So, what on earth caused this digital blackout? Well, the simple answer you might have heard isn't the real story. Not even close. The real story is about how we've intentionally, piece by piece, built an internet that was basically designed to fail just like this.
Now, on the surface, the culprit seemed pretty obvious, a company called Cloudflare. They're one of the biggest, most important infrastructure companies you've probably never even heard of. A single employee made one little configuration error during some routine maintenance, and boom, the whole system cascaded into failure. Case closed, right? Well, that's barely half the story.
You know, if you go and read the official postmortems from Cloudflare, you'll get the super detailed, super technical explanation. And yet, it's accurate, but it's also completely missing the point. It avoids the much, much more important question. And this is the real question we need to be asking. Not, what did Cloudflare do wrong? No. The question is, why have we built a system where one company's single mistake can bring down millions of totally unrelated services? That's what we're going to unpack right now.
What that outage did was pull back the curtain on this really startling truth about the modern internet. It turns out all those services we think are separate and diversified, they're not. They're all secretly connected, all funneling through the same critical points of failure that most of us can't even see. So someone did a real-world audit right after the outage, and it shows just how deep this rabbit hole goes. They thought they were playing it safe using all these diverse tools from different companies, but check out the real chain. A project management tool running on AWS, which, surprise, uses Cloudflare. The team chat from a totally different company. Well, its traffic routes through Cloudflare. A client's Shopify store, you guessed it, depends on Cloudflare. The independence was a complete illusion.
It's a perfect analogy, isn't it? The diversification is, in fact, an illusion. We think we're spreading our risk around by using different vendors. But just beneath the surface, all those vendors are betting on the exact same infrastructure. The risk isn't distributed at all, it's dangerously concentrated in one place.
So how did we get here? How did we build this digital house of cards? The wild part is this wasn't an accident. We didn't just stumble into this fragility. Every single decision that led to this system was rational. We actively chose this path because, for the most part, it made perfect sense.
You know, the old internet was kind of messy, but it was resilient. If one server crashed, one website went down. End of story. Today, we have what you could call elegant efficiency. Companies like Cloudflare handle all the hard stuff like security and performance, so everything works incredibly well, 99.9% of the time. But we've accepted a trade-off, that for the other 0.1% of the time, it can all come crashing down catastrophically.
We've actually built something that has a name. It's called an architecture of cascading failure. The failure of one domino is basically designed to topple the next one and the next and the next until the whole system collapses. That big outage, it wasn't really a bug, it was a feature of the system we designed.
Now, this kind of system-wide fragility has led some architects and engineers to ask a fundamentally different question from the start. And look, I'm not here to sell you on crypto or anything, but the philosophy behind what's called Web3 offers a really powerful counterpoint to the architecture we've all been living with.
It really boils down to two totally different starting questions. Web 2, the internet we have now, is all about optimizing for efficiency. How can we make this faster, cheaper, better? But Web 3, at least in theory, is born from a philosophy of designing for failure. It assumes things are going to break, and then it asks, okay, how does the system survive when they do?
But here's the kicker.
For all its really smart philosophical advantages, the current version of Web 3 often falls into the exact same traps as Web 2. A lot of so-called decentralized projects are just as fragile, and it creates this deep, kind of ironic hypocrisy.
So many of these decentralized apps rely on centralized gateways like Infura just to connect to the blockchain. And all those NFT images, a lot of them are just sitting on Amazon servers. And yeah, many of these decentralized websites are served up to you through, you guessed it, Cloudflare. We're literally building decentralized ideas on top of our old centralized infrastructure.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's simple. The internet broke, and let's be super clear, it will break again. AWS will have another outage, Cloudflare will have another one. The question isn't if, but when. And more importantly, how we prepare for it.
So what can you do? Well, every person, every business should really be asking these 3 questions. First, map out your entire dependency chain, the real one, not the one you think you have. Second, have a concrete, actionable plan for when, not if, things fail. And third, make sure you are consciously choosing convenience over resilience, not just defaulting into it because it's easy.
But let's be realistic for a second. The honest prediction is that most people, most businesses, they won't change a thing. The system just works too well, most of the time. The occasional catastrophic failure is simply seen as an acceptable price to pay for the incredible efficiency we get 99.9% of the time.
And this leaves us with one final thought. We are all dependent on this incredibly fragile, incredibly efficient system. The question isn't really how we escape it. It's this. What are you creating that is too important to trust to someone else's uptime? The internet will break again. What are you building that deserves to survive?